Hello, this is Joanne Hewins with lovetoCreate.typepad.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to make a card using the Arrange a Wreath stamp set and the Wreath Builders die. This die set is really neat, and it has 21 pieces. Yes, 21 pieces. The good thing about this one is that it has the hearts, the eggs, the pears, the stamps all stamp in a double stamp, and then the dies cut out 2 at a time, so that's a little bit of a time saver. And then these 2 dies right here are the same for the medium-sized flower. And then for the smaller flower, they have 3 of the same. So that really helps you when you're doing your cutting to get things done a little bit faster. The Arrange a Wreath stamp set is found on page 127 of our catalog. So there it is. So let me show you the card that we're going to make today. I thought that maybe some of you were starting to think about Christmas. Is it too early? I don't know. It's July, or almost July. So we're going to be making this one, and let's get started. So I told you our card base would be real red. This is 5.5 by 8.5. I have a score line here at 4 1/4. So I'm just going to bend that in half. You know, you still need to match those corners, even though you have a score line. And then use your bone folder to burnish that. Okay, so I don't know if you can tell about the embossing folder on here. This is called Dainty Diamonds. And it's real fine, and dainty is the exact word they needed to use for this folder. So I'm going to pull in a die cut machine, and we will run this through for that first layer. So let me bring this in. I can't wait until we get the new machine. How about you? So I've got my platform here, the embossing folder with my cardstock inside, my blue plate adapter, and I'm just going to run that through. Okay. And it really is lovely. I recommend you get this one. All right, so we're going to take this and add it to our red paper. I couldn't find my base there for a moment. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the back. I've gotten to where I like glue, I think, best as an adhesive. It sometimes gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So I also like to take my paper and hold it diagonally from corner to corner, and that way I can kind of shift it around and move it until I feel like it's pretty even all the way around, and then put it down. I find that works for me. All right, now we're ready to look at the wreath. Now I told you that you would need to have 2 pieces of green. This one is Shaded Spruce, and we're going to be cutting out the leaf shape for that one. And then this one is Just Jade, one of our new colors, and we're going to do what I call the more detailed wreath from it. So in comes the machine, and I'm going to have our base plate, the adapter, thin die adapter, and then my plates. So I'll cut this one. I'm kind of holding off on getting clear plates. I probably need them, but I'm just waiting for that new machine. Okay. And you can see this comes out pretty easily when you're not befuddled. Okay, and then we will cut out the other one. You could get away with not having quite a 4x4 piece of paper for this. I just wanted to make sure you had plenty. Okay, I just love the way that looks. So we're going to pull that out. And we have our 2 wreaths. Okay, I keep thinking I have lost my card base, but we're doing fine. Now this one has a couple of little cutouts, and I'm just going to poke them out with my Take Your Pick tool. It's just a couple. Okay, just going to push those out of the way. And then I'm going to take my glue and just on this line that goes around, I'm just going to put as thin a little piece as I can get just around there. And yes, I did get a little bit on my hand. So we're going to put this down in the center. And I wanted to do that so that after this dries a lot better, I can come back in and pick up some of those leaves and give the card a little more dimension, especially if I'm going to give it to somebody in person. Or I really think these wreaths would be great on a decor piece. Maybe a sampler of wreaths from the year. Okay, so we'll add that just kind of right on top of the other. And we'll give that a little bit of time to dry while we stamp our images for the wreath. So let me move that out of the way. Here's the finished one, so you can be looking at that and see how it goes. And here's where you're going to need your scrap white pieces. So I am going to start, hold on just a moment. I'm going to clean these actually. Okay, I'm going to start with the pears. And I'm going to get out crushed curry. Bumblebee would probably be really pretty with this too. And I'm also going to get out Granny Apple Green. And what I'm going to do is ink these up in the crushed curry. And then I'm going to get my Granny Apple Green dauber and get some of the ink on there. And I'm just going to dauber along the bottoms of these, right on the stamp. And I'm going to kind of do over here and get some of that yellow out of there. And then I'm going to stamp it. And you can see you kind of get a two-tone on your pears that way. So I'm going to clean and again ink up, get some of the green and add it here at the bottom. Get some of that off of there and stamp. clean. So I don't really want that green down in my crushed curry. And we'll do it one more time. Okay, those are ready to cut out. You put this away, and we'll get out the partridge. And I probably will end up just calling that a quail, because that's what I think of when I see that. And I'm opening soft suede and early espresso. And now I'll panic because I don't see my quail stamp. I don't know where it could have gone. Okay, call me crazy. It was right in front of my face. Please excuse me. That really got away from me there. Okay, I'm going to ink up my quail in the soft suede, and then I'm going to bring in an Early Espresso spot sponge dauber, and I'm actually going to stamp that again and make sure I've got the tummy good. And then I'm going to stamp across the top of the quail or the partridge just to make that a little bit darker than the stomach. So let me get, I can't believe I did that. All right, let me get my quail and stamp that. And you can see a little bit of difference in the back than in the stomach of that. Now we have one other thing that we need to stamp. Let me put these away. And that is our sentiment and the Merry Christmas. Excuse me. The Merry Christmas is part of the Arrange a Wreath stamp set. I'm going to stamp that in real red. And again on a piece of scrap. And this is something I'm just going to cut around in a few moments. So I'm going to cut this apart. I'll just go ahead and cut around it. Now, if you don't like to fussy cut, this one's pretty easy. But if you don't like to fussy cut, there are a lot of labels out right now with our dies. And I'm sure you can find one that you could cut that out with. And it would look beautiful there. All right, so we need to cut out the quail and the pears. So the machine comes back in. And I'm going to use some washi tape to hold mine in place. I don't really care for the other plate that holds in the magnetic plate. I find I have better luck with this, and I am really looking forward to the magnetic plate with the new cutter because it's solid and you won't have to worry about your things moving on you. Okay. Okay, so here's our quail. And we have a few more pears to cut out. So there's two. I kind of like this idea of being able to do more than one at a time. it is a time saver for sure. And then one more set of pairs. Now you'll have an extra pair, and I think I would just stick that on the inside of the card. All right, that should take care of all of our cutting. So let me move that out of the way. And we are ready to assemble. So I'm just going to turn all of this over. And we'll put our dimensionals over everything. And we need 5 of the pairs. Okay. So the partridge is going to come over here a little bit to the right of the bottom. And then we'll just space the pairs out around the wreath. You don't stick them all to your hand instead. And I'm just going to kind of lean them different ways, not just straight up and down. Okay, and if I had to do that over, I would move all of that around a little bit because I really wanted to put my ribbon there, and I'm just not so sure it's going to work now. Let me put on my saying down at the bottom. Use the pick your tool to get some of those dimensionals off more quickly, although I still make a big mess with them. And then here comes our part about lots of rhinestones. So I put at least 2 between each pair. You can do them however you please, with as many or as few as you would like. But I mean, what's Christmas without a little bit of red glimmer? We just need the red rhinestones. Oops, I don't know why I got that one out of the middle there. Because I could. Okay, and then we need to do our ribbon. For the ribbon, we are going to be using, I'm going to use my bow tire, and we're going to be using this stitched, double stitched, real red ribbon. It's a carryover from last year. And I will say I was really happy to see that there are some other red ribbons coming out with the holiday catalog. I don't think that this ribbon is as easy to work with as some of the others. Okay. Most of the time I really don't have to play with those to get them to look right. And then we're going to bring in our blue dots to put the ribbon down, and I'm still going to stick it back here, I think. And I might add another glue dot down in there to cover all of that up. and then we'll trim our ends. Okay, and there you go. There's our Christmas card ready to send. And you might even be tempted to make a few more of those and be a little bit ahead of the game. I wanted to share with you too a few other cards that I have made with this set that go with some of the other seasons. I have this one. This is for Easter. The saying is from this set. For this one, I stamped the wreath and then added another cutout wreath behind there, and then did my eggs. The ribbon is just colored with Flirty Flamingo on the Whisper White crinkled seam binding. This would be a good fall card. It's on the cinnamon cider paper and uses that ribbon, and thought that turned out pretty good. This is 2 of the wreaths, just like we did for the card that I made, and I think the same colors. And then here's another one for Valentine's Day. This heart is part of the dies. And I just put a little bit of the white behind there. So pretty simple. And this is just on the 6x6 Designer Series paper. Let me point out too, I'm not sure if I have already or not, but if I have, excuse me, that they have 2 of this size flower to cut out and 3 of this smaller one. So that really does save time. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to look at my video today, and I hope that you'll think about the Arrange a Wreath bundle. It's really a great one. Hope to see you soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.